Welcome, everyone, to Blood of Kings, the Highlander podcast here on the Fandom Podcast Network. On the show, we cover everything from the Highlander universe. And on this episode, we're going to discuss the Highlander Reboot, first images and on-set pictures with Henry Cavill. As a reminder, guys, first of all, thank you guys very much if you're watching on YouTube. Please share it out. Please subscribe. If you're listening to this podcast, make sure you check out the audio as well. We, of course, are Blood of Kings, the Highlander podcast here on the Fandom Podcast Network. And if you are watching the YouTube channel there, please check out the QR code. That'll take you to our website with all of our audio podcasts, of course, including Blood of Kings. But first, let's get into stuff here, guys. We got a lot to talk about. My name is Kevin. I will be your host. And if you're watching a YouTube podcast, I've been to some places. I love Highlander. And I know some of my guests have also been to places and love Highlander. So make sure you check us out. But first, I got to bring on my brother here on the Blood of Kings podcast, my co-host. And also, he knows something about fighting and stuff like that. He's a stuntman, founder of the Minneapolis-based fight choreography team, Fight Monkeys, providing training and armory and performance as well. And what he didn't know is I went through his Facebook profile pictures and picked some really fun stuff here to introduce him here. Look how cute he is with the sword there. And over there, it looks like he's over there by Notre Dame. Check it out. He looks really handsome. Let's bring on Mr. Lee Fillings, otherwise known as Norwegian Smooth. What's up, buddy?
I am really handsome. It's true. Thank you for the fantastic glow-up introduction there. I think the guests are going to be disappointed to see the real me.
Well, it's been a while since we've done a podcast for Blood of Kings. We've been kind of waiting, and well, we found a reason. And we have what? Hold on, you feeling that? I'm kind of feeling some immortal-ish buzzing going on here. You feeling that? Lee, I'm getting the immortal buzz. What do you say we bring on our guests?
I think it's a Peter Tingle.
Peter Tingle. Well, the first guest that we have to bring on here, first of all, this guy's kind of a big deal. I don't know if you know this. He is public relations for Highlander Worldwide, contributor to Echo Chamber. In a career spanning more than 25 years, John Mosby has written for over 30 titles, including Total Film, Starburst, Film Review, Fantasia, and Starlog. He's published several books here. Of course, this one here that I have, this is the very rare unsigned version of it right here. Inside joke there. He's published many other books as well, but that's the one that's really important here. And also, he's been a longtime contributor here on the Fandom Podcast Network, and of course, Highlander Worldwide. Let's bring on Mr. John Mosby himself. What the hell? What is that book? Never heard of Fearful Symmetry.
We live?
Symmetry author, Fearful Symmetry, the essential guide to all things Highlander. Welcome, John. How are you?
I'm good. How are you guys?
Doing really good. Good. I figured you're kind of important to bring on, and I just want to kind of maybe make a suggestion. You might want to add a new chapter or two to that thing. I'm just saying.
I think within the next year that's going to have to happen. I'm hoping to get some access somewhere down the line, but we will see. But yes, it will not be complete until it is complete.
All right. Well, we have to bring on this next guy. He is a good buddy of the network. One of our early superstars of the Fandom Podcast Network. He is the host of Type 40, the Doctor Who podcast here on the Fandom Podcast Network. Also, the founder of the Spacebook for everything else that's not Doctor Who. The second most handsome man in Highlander here. No offense to you, Mr. Dan Hadley. Welcome aboard.
I was beginning to wonder who was coming on then for a moment. Oh, it's a big deal. Hello, everybody.
Good.
Thanks for having me.
Welcome. I'm excited to have you, man. And we appreciate you coming on. So, yeah.
I never want to resist the gathering, Kev. You know me.
Now, you know how I said that you were the second most handsome man in Highlander?
I appreciate that.
Yes, go on. I'll stick with you for now.
You're tied with Lee for second, but the most handsome man in Highlander, okay? He's also actor and founder of the largest Highlander fandom Facebook group. That's Highlander Heart, going 26,000 strong, and also Highlander Heart YouTube channel founder. Please welcome Mr. Grant Kempster. Are you reading Highlander?
Sorry, I was just reading that.
Are you reading Highlander porn again? What is that?
Always.
I love the fact that you also have a issue of John's book there as well, right? So
Of course.
I think
Fine.
Lee is using. I think Lee is sitting on his because he needs to be taller than he usually is. So, well, guys, first of all, thank you so much for coming here. This is kind of like a Highlander brain trust here. We are all fans of Highlander in so many ways. We've been together virtually many times. And so I'm very, very happy to have you guys all here. Thank you for making the time. Let's go ahead and get into things here. This is, of course, Blood Kings Highlander Podcast, episode 176, Highlander Reboot Images and On-Set Pictures. Now, we have a tradition here on Blood Kings. When we go into the main topic, Lee and I usually like to go into Joe's, and that's where we take ourselves to have the main topic discussion. But I'm gonna take a vote here. I've added a new place to go to. We can go to Joe's, or we can go here, which is Connor McLeod's Inner Sanctum, aka Trophy Room, or Bring a Chick in and do other stuff with. Where do you guys want to go?
Hang on. Let's clarify. Is that bring a chick in or bring a chick in? I'll go for the second, not the first. Chicken's freaking me out, but I'll bring a chick in. Okay. Just don't tell my girlfriend.
Also, what did they do where? Because those couch cushions probably,
All right, so is it Connor's in? Do you want to go there?
Yeah.
Oh,
Okay, all right. Let's go check out Connor's Inner Sanctum room there. All right, guys, let's get into it right here. I'm going to start off with this. So the Highlander reboot, that's what we're here to talk about. We want to get our thoughts on, of course, the latest pictures, the casting news and such, and we'll get into that. Remind people that Highlander Reboot has been development hell, some would say, since May 2008, when the Hollywood Reporter announced that Summit Entertainment was planning to remake Highlander 1986 with Art Markham and Matt Holloway writing the script and Peter Davis set to produce the new film. And also in September of 2009, Justin Lin and Neil H. Morris had signed on to direct and produce the remake, respectively. Guys, we could talk about all the minutia and everything that we went through as Highlander fans and what was going to happen, what not going to happen. But let's jump to 2021, guys. This is where it gets interesting, all right? So 2021, May, Henry Cavill has been cast in the lead role of Connor McLeod. Chad Stahelski, the the director of the John Wick movies, confirmed Cavill's continued involvement with the project in March of 2023. In October, then, Deadline Hollywood reported that Mike Finch had written the most recent draft of the screenplay and that the production team was preparing to begin production in 2024. Henry Cavill also confirmed this on his Instagram. And he put a little picture up there where it's a couple of books he's reading there, those bloody kilts, the Highlander Soldier in the Great War. If you're going to wear a kilt, all you need to know is about Tartan's dress. And it looks like he has some type of knife there as well. And he's drinking some type of spirits. But he's very excited about this.
The traditional knife worn with the kilt.
Say that one more time.
It's called the skein-dhu. It's a traditional knife you wear with a kilt. Even if you wear nothing else, there's always a skein-dhu either in the boot or somewhere hidden.
Nice. Very cool.
Translates to black knife.
All right. I want to start your first reactions because I want to take you back to 2021, what you were feeling at the time. I know you got a lot of feedback in your Facebook group there, Grant. Dan, I know that you being a big fan. John, of course, everyone going to you because, you know, you and I are kind of married to this project. We'll get into that later. But Lee, I want to start with you, my co-host here of Blooded Kings. Your initial thoughts that we were going to get the Superman guy becoming Connor, supposedly. Your thoughts?
As I'm remembering it, and now I'm happy to say it. I remember saying I will celebrate once they start filming, because I remember when they were going to have Brad Pitt, and I remember when Ryan Reynolds was in the running, and there's a whole lot of stuff, especially right around there, that was getting signed and then not getting done. And I mean, as we've gotten rumors over the last few years, everyone sends me the articles as though I hadn't seen them already. But like, oh yeah, did you see this? They're gonna. And I'm like, yeah. Once they start rolling, I'll believe it. So it's finally rolling, and I finally believe it. So. All
right, John, let's go to you here. Your thoughts. Everyone knows who Chad Stahelski is at this time as well. He's done quite well with the Wick franchise. But we got Mr. Henry Cavill cast. And what's funny is it wasn't confirmed he is Connor at the time, but we all assumed he was. Your initial thoughts?
To be honest, I'm not sure it's ever been 100% confirmed that he's Connor. Even to this day, there's a lot of articles that are running with that, and the presumption is that he's Connor. But one of the interesting things about the news cycles is there's only about 3 characters in this reboot that have been officially named. And we've done our squirreling around and gone, well, that must be so and so, and that must be so and so. So that's always interesting. My first reaction, I try not to be sort of cynical, but I've been in the business long enough to know that just because something's been written, it never gets to the screen. And with Highlander, it's become the kind of poster child of good intention. So it was great to see a step forward. I will always celebrate things that are positive. But yeah, I probably like Lee. It was like, oh, that sounds interesting. It doesn't sound like just a big name, but it sounds like somebody I can imagine playing the role who had a pre-existing love for it. So I was going like, okay, yeah, I no problem with that casting. But likely it was a case of, yes, well, let's see how things pan out, because it has been a stop and start thing all the way along. Lots of good intentions, but the industry is littered with really good projects that don't get made, and really bad projects sometimes that do. But I was exactly like Lee. It was like, when they start filming, I will believe there's going to be a Highlander reboot. I have my fingers crossed. I always thought it would happen at some point, but I was never sure it was going to be what I was hearing. Oh, well, this is definitely it. This is definitely it. This felt like the biggest step forward, but it didn't feel like it was any guarantee just because his name had been announced. But it felt positive. It was like, yes, something to celebrate, something new, rather than something where it's like, oh my God, this is not going to be great. I was positive, but cross fingers.
Yeah. Real quick, if you guys are watching live, feel free to leave comments in the YouTube section there. We'll share them and get your thoughts there. Grant, I want to go to you next, buddy. Highlander Heart. For those people that don't know, it's because of you, Grant, that my wife and I met and got married, not in a weird way. But that's where we met. We met in your Highlander Facebook group back in 2016, and one thing led to another. So there you go. But you have been around Highlander pretty much most of your adult life here. You've contributed to Highlander. And so you have obviously Highlander Heart, which is the biggest and most popular Facebook group for Highlander fans. So I know you saw all of the comments when this was mentioned, but I wanted to know, you as a fan, what were your feelings? Because I know you kind of hold back, you let the fans go at it, which is great, but I want to know what Grant was thinking at this time.
Yeah, it's 30 years this year, actually, Highlander Heart, technically. Which is insane. But in terms of what
congratulations, by the way.
Thank you, man. It took me a minute, is what I'll say. Initial reaction, and Henry, if for some reason you're watching, I love you. It took me a minute to see him in the role, and that's because we've been so used to seeing the kind of beefcake Cavill, and that was, to be honest, everybody's main complaint straight off the bat was just like, Connor isn't Superman. But then he hasn't always been that way, and you start to see him in more things and watch more of his stuff, because now I'm invested in Henry Cavill, and then you actually see, actually he could be the perfect person to play this role. So it took me a minute, but I got there, and when I did, I was just really happy. And again, I echo everything that John said. It's a really positive thing for the franchise when it was revealed, and all the way through all of the murk to get to the point where I started filming. And now it's just it's pure vindication. It's very exciting. So
it's good to hear. You're not alone. Beefcake, he's like this big dude, and we like Connor because he's just a dude, So,
exactly.
All right, Dan, I want to go over to you, my fellow buddy here on the Fandom Podcast Network, co-host, of course, of the Type 40 Doctor Who podcast here. Dude, I know you're a big fan. When we first were introduced online and you came with us, I knew how big of a Highlander fan you are, but you just recently put a reaction video up on the Spacebook Facebook or YouTube channel. And I saw your passion in this, but I want to take you back to 2021. How are you feeling with this initial news? It was a big step for a lot of Highlander fans.
Firstly, let's not gloss over the fact that this isn't normal. It's nearly 5 years since Henry Cavill was first mentioned as being cast in this role. That's not normal.
Yeah.
Even the only worst example I can think of is Mahershala Ali being locked into Blade for something like 8 years. 5 years isn't normal. And so my reactions are a kind of cocktail of where Grant was, kind of is a little. I'm sensing a little still there, and Lee and John sort of reception to it as well. So exactly like you two guys, I got to the position where I will believe it when I see it. Ideally, I'd like to see a trailer, some sort of moving image to prove that it's actually happening. But I'll take a still image. It's fine. It's fine. Wake me up when they start rolling was the place that I'd got to. I refused to read articles. I'd refused to have conversations about it. I was all talked out about the whole thing 5 years ago when Henry Cavill was attached to it. Just like you said, Grant, I couldn't see why they'd gone to him. It seemed to be because he was sort of a man of the hour, Superman, the Man from U.N.C.L.E., these various other films. He seemed to be mentioned as being attached or potentially attached to just about every role you could possibly imagine, including James Bond. And I was desperately bored by the whole thing because I do feel like I've sort of seen Henry do that stuff, but I've never seen him do this. I don't think I've seen him play The Witcher, and I've seen him play Superman. I think they're two sort of. I think somewhere in the middle, there could be a Connor McLeod, and I'm resistant to the idea of Connor being a beefcake. He is built like a brick, you know what? To me, the Kurgan is built like a brick, you know what? If there's no contrast between the two characters, between the antagonist and the protagonist, then it sort of diffuses the conflict a little. I feel it should feel like David versus Goliath, but things have moved on. Cavill is a really great actor, and I think the most important factor about him and why I've come round, it's not that I don't still feel all of that stuff. I still do. I still struggle a little, Grant. But what's won me over is his commitment. 5 years speaks for itself. Most leading men who were in the frame would have gone by now. They would have checked out, or their agents would have said, you know, that Immortal movie thing, you might want to step away from that. It's been a long time. But he stayed with it. He's clearly really invested in it. He wants to do it. And the excitement, you can read that on his social media as well. And this is Henry Cavill's personality and his personal sort of integrity, his creative integrity, is what has kept me lining up for this, I think. And I like all of the directors of the movies, but it's Cavill. His commitment is what's kept me invested.
Lee, you had something you wanted to say?
Just on the subject of Cavill first, I think it was his performance in Man from U.N.C.L.E. that had me convinced that he could pull off a role like this. I thought it was a good performance.
I'm glad you brought that up. Yeah.
And second, I can call both Cavill and Clancy small. Terrifically big guys.
Oh, it's like that, is it?
No, they're what I call entry-level tall. Like, yeah, you're tall, but you're sitting at the kids' table with tall people. Like, that's, like they could still mostly shop in the normal people section. Like they're not truly big.
So my first reaction was it was more my excitement for Chad Stahelski, to be honest with you. It was I'm a huge John Wick fan, and knowing that he's a Highlander fan, Chad, and he proved it. He even mentioned the TV series in several interviews. So I knew that we had someone that we could trust with the project. Whether they were going to let him do it and keep him doing it and not take him away and have someone else, that's where I was getting worried. But I was happy that he was attached to it even before we got Henry. And so this is why I was really excited, especially when it came to swordplay, because he's a stunt man himself. And, it was at 8711 Stunt Group, I believe it is the one that he helped co-found, if I remember correctly. So I knew we were going to get some good action, but I know that he likes world building. If you watch the John Wick franchise, it's not just about the action and the 20,000 headshots. There's some world building there, and that's what I love about that series. And this is where I felt okay, we got someone that's passionate about it and that will pay attention to what came before him. At least that's the message that I'm getting. Henry was just kind of a bonus for me, and I like, everything that I've seen him in. It's just funny that I got tired of seeing all the Witcher pictures, with Highlander and stuff like that, with his white hair and everything like that. I'm like, I want to see him as Connor. I want to see what that's going to look like. So I was happy myself personally that we were getting somewhere and that we had both people that were passionate about the project. So
I think you've got to, you're exactly right. You've got to have somebody who has a passion for the project without being a slave to it. And I think that Chad's one of these guys that will go, I love the premise. I'm not going to scrap everything and do something else, otherwise it won't be Highlander. But I might, but I'm not necessarily going to devote myself to recreating absolutely everything. I mean, I love people who are passionate. Peter Briggs is a mutual friend of a lot of ours, and he had a passion for the movies that he makes, but he's also a pragmatist. And I think that's exactly what a project like the Highlander reboot needs. It's going to take it a little bit from here and a little bit from there. And there'll be people who, will not like something, and there'll be people who do like it. But I spent a lot of years watching people go, oh, Thomas Jane, he would be great for it. And the only reason, I'm a good actor, but people were sort of saying he looked like Christopher Lambert. I think you have to get past that. None of these characters are going to look like, if they are recreating characters, they're not going to look exactly like they did before. You don't go for lookalikes. You go for people who are interested within those roles.
So I'm glad you brought that up, because that gets us into the next category here, guys. Blood of Kings here on the Fandom Podcast Network, discussing the Highlander reboot, first images. We'll get to that shortly, but let's talk about the cast here, guys. Of course, if you're watching the YouTube channel, I've picked up some collages of who supposedly they might be playing, or a version of that character. So I'm going to go through the slideshow here. Please forgive me. I'm just going to say rumored, because I don't know if anything's really been confirmed or not, Grant. So just keep that in mind as I go along here. So first of all, Henry Cavill, aka Connor McLeod. We have Russell Crowe here as possibly the Ramirez type, elder here, helping him out. And then, of course, we know these guys had a little reunion, if you guys remember, in Superman, so they kind of know each other there. Then we get this was kind of a fan thing for a while, and then it actually happened. We got Dave Bautista possibly as the Kurgan, or the Kurgan type. We've got Karen Gillan as Heather McLeod-ish, maybe. Now this one fascinates me here, guys. This is Marisa is it Abela listed as the current romantic interest. By the way, if you get a chance, watch her biopic movie of Amy Winehouse. She is phenomenal. She even does the singing in it. If you want to see her acting prowess in it, she's really good. Next, we have is it Djimon Hounsou, possibly Castigear. This is a fan thing. I'm just saying, possibly. Then we have Drew McIntyre. He's WWE superstar Drew McIntyre. They're saying has been cast as Angus MacLeod in the Highlander reboot. That would be good casting, probably, but I'm just saying, again, rumors here. Next, we have, and then this one fascinates me a little bit here. We have Max Zhang. He is from the IP Man series, amongst other things, and he's been cast as well. Will he be playing Young Dal Kim? I'm just throwing that out there because I've heard others say it as well. Next, and this is the one that I really like too, because I'm curious. We're going to get Kevin McKidd, a fellow Highlander clansman, maybe. Anyone should be in a Highlander Scottish type movie. This guy needs to be in it. So there you go. And then we have Korean actress Jeon Jong-so. Forgive me if I'm mispronouncing that. She's being rumored to play as someone from The Watchers, a secret organization that monitors immortals in the film, for those of you that don't know. She has been mentioned. And then we have Siobhan Cullen as possibly Brenda. She's an Irish star. She's heading to the Highlander universe. Got that one. And then I hadn't heard of this guy before. We have Nassim Lies. He's a French actor. He's also a former French national kickboxing championship, MMA mixed martial arts. He has been cast as well, possibly as maybe another immortal, either a villain or someone chasing after Connor himself. And this, I want to end off here with the big one here. This is Jeremy Irons has been cast. What's funny is when the original casting happened, he was listed as the villain. But now we're getting, oh no, he's the leader of the Watchers. Maybe he's both. Maybe he's one of the hunters. I don't know. So I want to get your guys' thoughts on the initial cast here. I'm going to start with you, Mr. Lee. What you got on the cast here? What do you think?
I'm really liking almost all of it. There's a few people I don't know, so I can't say too much. But Jeremy Irons, you really can't go wrong. He was the only good part of Aragon. He hasn't always been in great movies, but he's always been great. Really like that. I'm interested to see what they're going to do with Russell Crowe. I've been on record as saying Oded Fair would have been the perfect Ramirez.
He was my first bet too, Oded Fair, from the Mummy.
But you got to think of it from a business standpoint. People aren't going to the movies to see Oded Fair; they are going to the movies to see Russell. Some of these are going to be great. I'm glad that they're bringing some French actors in. I love Djimon Hounsou. He's already shown that he can do, action still. He got kind of his big start in Gladiator. Again, another reunion. But he was still doing some good fights as recently as Captain Marvel. So he's got some great stuff there. I love Karen Gillan. Anytime we can get her on screen, I think it's a good thing. I think that Bautista, anytime people try to talk smack about him, I tell them watch the opening scene of Blade Runner 2. And he's got depth. He's got size, skill. What professional wrestlers have to do as performers, not only of a storyline, but as physical. They deserve a chance. And I think he's really shown that he can rise to the occasion. And yeah, I'm just thrilled. And I'm hoping that none of these are characters that we know, because we already have that story. I want new stories. I want to be surprised when I watch it.
I feel like you're in the minority when it comes to our very passionate and loud fans, that they want the same characters but just done right. So yeah. Let's go to you, Mr. Grant. I know you're hearing it all the time. Your thoughts on the casting here.
I do disagree with Lee there. I think we do need the same characters, but there's more. We talked a little bit about Chad's world building. And I think that's where this will potentially excel, because we've got the story we want for the most part. Most of us want it, which is, I think, Connor versus Kurgan, with the, all the story that we've come to know and understand, but then opening up to the much broader world that we have experienced for the last almost 40 years, through the series and different movies and animation and things like that. It's all there. And I feel like that's what they're going to draw from to kind of really make it bigger. So you're reminding now, Kevin, going through these. The cast, I think the cast are good for the most part. Again, I think I love Karen for Heather. I think that's fantastic. I think some of the other smaller cast, like Kevin McKidd, I think they'd be fantastic too. Most likely, as you say, I reckon he's going to be knocking about in the 1500s with Connor. I don't think there's any surprises there. But I love that they're throwing in characters that we don't know from the movie, the original movie. And that's the most exciting thing. And Jeremy Irons, absolutely. Lee got it right. He's not been always in great movies, but he's always been great. And he could really.
Dude's an Oscar winner too,
Oh, so, yeah. There's a lot of Oscar winners and nominatees in this movie across the board, including cinematographer and everything. So, for the most part, I love the casting. I think they've pretty much done it well. Would I have chosen Dave Bautista? Not necessarily. Again, Dave, I love you. You're great. And I don't have any issues in the sense of, he can't act, he's a wrestler. because he can act and he's shown he can act. And I think he'd be fantastic in this. And like Henry has the passion. He's wanted this role for so long. But I would have possibly gone with somebody a little bit more out of the box, but that's just me.
Dan, what say you about the cast? Got any favorites? Any concerns?
Yet again, I echo what Grant's just said. My only real concern is that, and I do love Dave Bautista. I think he's great, but I feel like I've seen him do this. Whatever he's going to do in that role, I've probably seen him do it before. He may surprise me, and I'm placing faith there because he's obviously very keen to do it. But what stands out to me is how eclectic the cast is. So you've got a mixture of, Jeremy Irons. All the movies that he's done, stuff like Dead Ringers, big movies, quirky films. He was the villain in Die Hard 3, which a lot of people forget that he did that. So he's done all of these.
One of my favorite roles of his, by the way. I love that role.
My favorite of his roles, you couldn't even see him because he was the voice of the baddie in The Lion King too. So yeah. I do love Jeremy Irons. You can't really go wrong there. But generally speaking, it is a great mix of really distinctive talents from all manner, all corners of entertainment, I suppose you could say. So you've got character actors, you've got very big physical sports entertainment type people, and it gives this a sense of fun. And I'm sure that the final film will be very polished. Chad's films are always polished. The attention to detail, and they're beautiful, these films. But the fact that he's really looked across the entertainment landscape, and there's people from all over the world. That's interesting too, which means it will pull in people who are very interested in martial arts movies, for example, or in geeky stuff like the MCU and Doctor Who. They'll follow Karen Gillan anywhere. And I suspect, and we've never really seen Karen Gillan do this before. We've seen her be the boss babe and be the intergalactic space heroine. We've never seen her be the softer romantic character. So I'd like to see some of these actors do things we haven't seen them do before. We've seen Russell Crowe play a mentor before. He played Jor-El, didn't he? Again, opposite Henry Cavill in various DC movies, and he's played similar films for similar roles before, I suppose. But I don't think he's ever been attached to something that's as potentially interesting as this. And I don't think, again, if it is a mentor character, for me, it doesn't have to be Ramirez, as long as it fulfills that function. If it's a version of that character that fits Crowe down to the ground, it's important that the right talent is in the right position, the right pieces are on the board, rather than what they're labeled as. For me, I agree, Grant. I think that Connor must fight the Kurgan. Things like that are fundamental. You can't shift those things. But a lot of the other things, I think you've got room to maneuver. The gentleman, the IP man guy, I know that he's got a massive following. So that'll be a revelation to me because I'm not a martial arts dude. So I'm all for that, though. And the French actor who was the black guy who was in Gladiator, and I love him in everything I've seen him in. So wherever they put him, I don't care. This is a great assortment of phenomenal talents who are going to do good stuff. This could potentially be electric. It really could. Magic could happen.
Lee, real quick.
I just want to throw more respect on Kevin McKidd's name. That guy has been jobbing forever. He had a small role, kind of cut out a little bit of Trainspotting, which was kind of the breakout Scottish movie. So for him to be in this, he's part of the Star Wars universe. He's voiced several characters on Rebels. And, most famously with Rome, I thought he was absolutely fantastic. 15 years ago, he was the guy that I was hoping would play Connor. It's just
You're not alone.
Phenomenal actor, and I'm always happy to see him in something. And also,
I know, Lee, that I know the name from somewhere. It's one of those things. So I can place faith knowing that he's been around.
And
John,
listening to you, I feel like I'm watching football, and you're the commentator. You just have that perfect football commentator voice. So.
John Mosby, I want to get your thoughts on the casting news here before we get into the actual behind-the-scenes pictures that we saw, or the pictures on the set.
Was that you dropped out for a second there? You were coming to me,
John. Sorry, I want to get your thoughts on the casting news here.
Yeah, I agree with just about what everybody said. I think this is both creatively interesting and very pragmatic in the casting of it. Nowadays, movies, it used to be that movies had to just launch well in America and everything else was a bonus. The industry definitely has, over the last 10, 15 years, noted different markets. And that's why you get a lot more Eastern and Western collaborations. And the casting here, on the pragmatic side of it, you have obviously for the American audience, people well known, European audiences well known, Eastern audiences well known. You can't get better than the Ip Man franchise, which has been ballistic in the East. It's less well known over here, but it's about historically real people. So, and it has incredible martial arts in it, so that's going to bring in a certain section of the audience. As Dan said, you've got people who watch Doctor Who. Karen Gillan will bring them, and the people who watch Guardians of the Galaxy. Almost every person who has been cast here will bring in some type of audience. I'm not familiar with everybody's work, but I'm familiar with most of them.
That's an excellent point.
Yeah, so it's going to be a situation where you have a director who I don't think he's just going, hey, let's get one from there, one from there, one from there, for the heck of it. He's getting people who are very, very good, will bring in a specific audience, and are quite likely suitable for this story. I do think this is a story that's going to open up quite a bit, particularly with the idea originally, I think, that it was going to be a trilogy. So you might well see characters that are less in this movie that you might see again if this film is successful, because you can go backwards and forwards.
Don't tease me, John. Don't tease me.
Isn't it a bold thing to do, though, John, to take somebody like the girl from the Amy Winehouse movie and to put her in this? Because that film didn't do very well. But it was interesting.
Yeah, it didn't do a lot of money, but it got critically. A lot of people said of her performance, she was, as you said, was very good. And I think he's done that. He's going, I need this type of character for this type of role. And he's gone and got some of the best people for that, even if we aren't, or the audience isn't familiar with every person who's done it. I mean, I met Kevin McKidd years ago. It was at the Brave premiere in Scotland. And I just said, I had to ask you, your name's been associated with Highlander. Is this true? And he goes, no, it's not. He said, nobody's approached me. I haven't approached them, but I keep seeing my name around. And I said, oh, well, you'd be very good. But no, so I don't know if he was even ever in talks. He was familiar with the fact that his name was being mentioned. But he's a great person. I'm just looking through the list of the thing about Ramirez was, I think I said to you, Kevin, years ago, before any of this casting happened, that is such a role that almost any actor on the planet, male or female, could have done something interesting with that. I think I joked that, I would love to see Helen Mirren's Ramirez. And I was only being sort of half joking, because you could have had a strong female character. And I know people would have gone, oh, it's woke or whatever. But no, you could have done something really interesting with a strong female mentor within a very testosterone film. So you could have done anything. And I think even the characters that we don't know are going to be interesting. I'm very satisfied with the casting of the main characters. But as has been said, I think some of the surprises may actually come from some of the supporting characters. Particularly if he is world building, particularly if we are going to the east, like some of the photographs might suggest. So, we have Scotland historically. We have maybe the east. We maybe have something in France. We've definitely got something at the Tower of London. So I think he's going for a big international type movie here, and that's something that Highlander has very. It's something that we've seen in some ways, but it hasn't. Highlander hasn't necessarily gone around the world. It has a feeling of going around the world because the series had such good, way of doing it. But a big budget way of literally taking your cast to these places could really open it up. The idea of these immortal scattered all.
That's what we want as Highlander fans. Is we want location shooting, and somewhere in Scotland. I mean,
you've got to go back to Scotland.
And you're absolutely right, because it feels very James Bondy when you get your characters in our Highlander universe traveling around and doing that type of thing. So, guys, let's get into the big thing here, guys, is that we here at Blood of Kings and all, Highlander Heart and all of us were buzzing when we got these images put up. Henry Cavill posted them up here. First two official images of Highlander. And then soon after, we started getting some other news that they're filming at the Tower of London. And we see Mr. Cavill over there, Jeremy Irons, speculating, is he the Watcher, blah, blah, blah. And I want to go to you first, Lee, because when Grant posted these pictures in Highlander Heart, you commented on the thread there. You had said, this has kind of come full circle that they're filming at the Tower of London. I'm going to give it to you. We all know why, but we want you to explain why this was cool. You're on mute, by the way. Hold on. Yeah.
Sorry. It's winter up here and I've been coughing, so I'm trying to keep everyone sane. Part of the impetus of the original script was a trip that Greg Whidden took to the Tower of London and seeing all the armor and all the swords and being like, what would it be like to have been the person that owned this and used this? And he came up with the idea of the immortal warrior and kind of fleshed out by watching the duelists. And going back to this particular spot, I feel like you had to know. And if you didn't, that's just wonderful serendipity. But it is an amazing place. Our British friends will appreciate. I've actually seen the ceremony of the keys 3 times. So it's a really wonderful spot if you ever get the chance to go. They've moved most of the armory that Greg saw actually to Leeds now at their armory there, but it's an even better place to go. It's absolutely fantastic. But I'm really excited just to see it on screen.
All right, Grant, let's go to you, buddy. Your initial thoughts of these first images and then the filming there in London.
I know. In a word, wow. It caught me off guard. They appeared sort of almost out of nowhere. And it's one of those things. We've waited, 14, 15 years for this. And suddenly, what? There's a picture from the set of Highlander. And that, do you know what?
Is it time to believe now? Is it time to believe it's true?
Well, I've been in the land of believe for quite a while, but it was such a nerdy thing. The first thing I do is go, what's he wearing? I feel like one of those people on the red carpet. I'm like, right, oh my God, let's get into this. Okay, he's wearing, I love the thing with the collar. And, well, that seems like a little bit of a callback to, oh God, the source. Okay, let's just move past that. And then, but he's wearing a bomber jacket underneath the left. Oh, that's a little bit like the first film. And all these things just kept, oh my God, oh my God, oh my God. And it just built and built and built. So, yeah. And then all the set footage came and the set photos and, yeah, it's real. And I always knew that we would get here, and there's a lot of people who didn't, and you know who you are.
I feel like I'm talking to 18-year-old Grant right now. Just, you are so giddy right now. I love it.
He never left. Yeah, it was fantastic. Very excited to see it, and just thank God we've got here. It's been a tough road, but yeah, wow.
Dan, I want to go to you.
Yeah, I mean, I was starting to feel that if this film ever got made, Grant, that my kids would probably be taking me on a day trip out of a retirement village to go and see it on a pensioner's pass. Just fabulous. Each image, we've got some really polished production pictures, which I've no doubt were chosen from several dozens worth to be the most effective to let loose on social media under a hashtag and to see how much excitement that they stimulated, I suppose, in the way that we've all clearly responded. And then the flip side to it are seeing the actors out on the streets in Britain filming the thing. So it's like two sides of the same coin. It's because quite often it has been the case in the past where we've had production pictures too of actors in costume in parts, and they've not ended up playing, and films that haven't been released. Excuse me. So we've got all that sort of stuff, but here, I do wonder: are they aware that, just like most of us on the panel were reluctant to talk about it until we saw some proof? Are they aware that if they can marshal our belief, our excitement, almost to be ambassadors for this film, that we will talk it up for them in between the little morsels that they drop out like this, the carefully curated production photographs like this, even though we can see the camera and the mic there, that's been very precisely selected. So in between all of this, they can get on with making the film. We in the fandom can make sure that people know that there's a Highlander film coming, and hopefully it'll all coalesce to become a real cultural event. And so I think it's possible. I sincerely do. I hope it's theatrical, but it could work as a streaming film. I don't doubt. But this looks like a theatrical movie. It looks international, and it looks more than next level. I mean, certainly, and I'm not just talking about in relation to the various films in the sequence, but with this brand of film, I think fantasy films have been stuck in the doldrums for a little while. It's not that I think they need to grow up. As I say, this looks like a fun movie, but I haven't seen a fantasy film look this beautiful in a long, long time. This looks like John Borman could have made it. It's that kind of thing.
That's a good call out there. John, I want to get your thoughts. By the way, do you think it was on purpose, at least from my point of view, that these two pictures released by Cavill here seems to both be on holy ground? I'm just saying. John, your thoughts on these pictures and the set pictures?
Yeah, we're in that interesting moment when the film isn't out. It's not even finished yet. But we're getting that excitement. Now, I think Grant's been on the set of one of the movies. I was on one of the sets of the movies. And every time you see, I mean, people often say, oh, this, one film or another, it wasn't very good at any film out there. Nobody makes the intention of making a bad film. And I've often found that going on a set, you get that innate excitement. I mean, I went on the set of The Source, and that was a lousy movie in the end. But there was some really good stuff. The lighting. I'm going like, oh, this could. Look at that could really work. And I think we're in that stage at the moment where it's like Schrodinger's Highlander, where it could be, it could be one of the best, movies of the year it's released, or it could be like, it's all right. I get the feeling it's leaning towards being something really, really good because of who's involved, because of the passion, because of what we're seeing. I think they've been very good with what they're releasing so far. I think exactly what Dan was saying there, and Lee, was that they have to find thread the needle, as it were, between what Highlander fans want to see and what the mainstream audience wants to see. Because to borrow an old maxim from another franchise, if every existing Highlander fan goes to see this movie, it will be a flop. It has to go beyond that. It has to go bigger. You have to. It's clever and smart to have enough in there to.
Yeah, give us the reality pill there.
Yeah, well, I mean, it is though.
John.
I mean, yeah.
Also, John, leading on from what you've said, the stark fact of reality is that there's a considerable number of people, probably a majority of people out there, who it won't matter whether this goes theatrical or streaming. It doesn't matter who are in the supporting cast. It doesn't matter about some film that was made 40 years ago. To a large amount of the people for whom this will make their radar, this is just going to be the next Henry Cavill movie, and it'll be that simple for them.
We always, I think, have to remember that as fans, that a lot of people going to see it or watching anything are a next generation that is coming along. And I talk with kids all the time. I do some work at the school, and it's humbling when you make a movie reference and you get a blank expression from a kid, and you suddenly realize they were born 10 years after that movie came out and are never going to get that reference. And this is an 80s movie. There are some teachers that I've worked with who've never heard of it. Oh, that's that time traveling movie, isn't it? Or something, that old cliche. So yeah, and again, to what Dan said, it'd be interesting to see where it turns up. I'm hoping it's a big theatrical release. I think it's going to go big.
Okay, guys. There's a couple things before we wrap things up here.
But if it goes to a streaming, Amazon, Netflix, my brother's books, but it's just it's being made into a movie with Robert De Niro and Michael Keaton, and that's coming out on Netflix. So if this was to come out on on Amazon or something like that, that would not necessarily be a sign of anything that not having faith in it.
Probably the only guy.
Years time, quite the opposite.
Probably the only guy on this panel who has not seen the original Highlander on the big screen. I want this one on the big screen. I really, 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 really do. A couple things before we wrap things up here, guys. So one of the guys in this movie has his own castle, Jeremy Irons. Maybe he's going to let him use it. I don't know. I thought this was funny. Someone made a reference to the animated series and what was it, Quentin MacLeod, if I remember correctly. What he's wearing kind of resembles what Cavill might be wearing. If Chad Stahelski went to the animated series, I just want to give him props. But guys, let's talk swords. Let's talk swords real quick here. I saw your post on Highlander. Lee's got some right there. Check that out. Grant, I saw your picture saying I spy. This guy right now who is holding these swords off camera is becoming the most famous person probably other than the cast in Highlander.
Yeah. That guy.
I'm wearing my my Highlander was a catalog silver little mini katana here. So we want to talk about this real quick. Okay, and I'll go with you, Grant. Are they getting it right with the swords?
It looks that way. I mean, it's the right color. It's the right size. I mean, I could be wrong, Lee. You could probably say it looks a little longer than the original, maybe. I don't know. But it certainly looks like they have been more accurate to the original than I imagined that they would be. And you can't really see from those, but if you like the one that's on the right hand side there, the sword that's to the left of the two that he's holding, you can see the mouth of the dragon. So you can see that they, I think, like everything, they have stayed true, but maybe just broadened it slightly, just made it slightly different, different enough that we'll want to buy this sword now.
Lee, are they getting it right?
I hope so. I love these swords. Obviously, I've spent thousands of dollars to get these two custom ones made. But you're talking about these being longer, and I think that is a good thing. The originals were made by art directors, and there was one or two guys around that knew what fighting was about. Now the entire team is a bunch of fighters, and they understand that ergonomics are a thing. They understand that you're dealing with a guy that is about a foot taller than the original Connor MacLeod, and just the difference in the size of the hands changes how that type of weapon ends up being used. So if they're making a more functional weapon, and I love these things, but they are terrible for cutting and moving. I think that's all good. I'm hoping that it's different enough that I have an excuse to buy another sword. Because if it's exactly like the ones I have, I'm like, I'm not going to spend too much money. That's a bummer.
I bet Grant has this guy's phone number. He's going to have him on the next hour when he podcasts. I'm just saying. We need to talk to this guy real quick. One thing I want to mention, and I want to get your guys' thoughts on both of this here, because I want to be respectful of everyone's time here before we wrap things up, is the music, guys. This is a huge contention with fans here for obvious reason, because Queen's involvement in the original movie is so important. Highlander remake will use Queen songs from the original movie. Director Chad Stahelski mentioned. He said this, and back in 2017, he also says that it will be incorporated into Reboot, and Tyler Bates will score the film. But he kind of says that he says that when asked if the Queen songs will be featured in his Highlander reboot, Stahelski told The Wrap, which he was being interviewed, quote, "Yes, probably in a different way than you think, but hardcore, yes." So it looks like we're going to get it, guys. I don't know, any thoughts on, like if they don't do it right, you're like, I mean, what do you think?
I think that if they're smart, they will effectively, I think one of the things that Brian May loved the most about working on the first Highlander movie was the way that he could work with Michael Kamen in the score. They sort of bounce this sort of the theme music, the thematics, backwards and forwards and things like that. I think if they're smart, they will bring Brian May in to co-score the movie and have that Queen sound, often riffing off to the ones that we know, the important things. But I think just have that throughout as a feeling that you get all the way through this, just this sense of, without just playing "You Want to Live Forever" or just throwing, it's a kind of magic with a little nod and a wink. That's my thought.
you've got to have, if it's going to be a Queen song, you've got to have Queen doing it. You can have the musical cues that, you know, where the diehard fans can go, oh, and I see what they did there with the music. But if they're going to play, if there's going to be the music and the songs at some point, the worst thing I can think of is somebody, you know, doing a pale imitation. If it's going to be a Queen song, you've got to have Queen doing it. You can have some other people in there. I can think of various people, you know, Runrig, Clanad and stuff, where you could have you know, musical touches that would feel just as authentic if you pick the right song. But music is such an important part of it. You've got to have those touchstones in, and you've got to say, if we are introducing new stuff and new songs, they've got to be of that caliber. Not everybody's got to like every one of them, but it's got to be of that factor. Worst thing you can do is imitation.
Exactly. All right, guys, well, let's wrap things up here. This is Blood of Kings, episode 176, discussing Highlander Reboot, our thoughts on the first images and on-set pictures. I want to first of all thank everyone so much for joining us. Thank you guys for that are watching live there. If you're listening to this podcast, check out the video. We had a lot of cool pictures. But I want to say thank you to our special guest. And Grant, I want to start with you first, sir. Thank you for coming on. I'm going to let people know that you are actually going to record your own reaction podcast shortly, and you're going to be releasing it shortly. And let us know what else is going on with you, buddy.
Yeah, it's been a busy couple of years. I recently wrote a novel, which you mentioned before we came on air. And so, yeah, quick, it's my turn to plug, John. And that will be out in January of 2027. Such a long lead time, but apparently this is how publishing works. It's a crime thing, high concept crime. And there are some Highlander references in there to a degree.
Yes.
It does. I don't say Highlander anywhere, but there's part of it which is set in Queens for a very specific reason, with a very specific view of a very specific building. And there's some other elements that I think hopefully people will pick up. It's called Dead on Time, and is out January 10th, 2027.
Awesome. Well, thank you so much for joining us, sir. Appreciate you very much. Check out Highlander Heart on YouTube. He's dropping his show. And also, if you haven't joined the Facebook group, please. I mean, come on. You're behind the eight ball if you haven't. Grant, thank you so much, buddy.
Thanks, man.
Dan, thank you so much for coming on. Where can people reach out to you, sir? And thank you for coming on and sharing some Highlander love.
Well, it's been an absolute blast. Obviously, my home base is the Type 40 Doctor Who podcast here at the Fandom Podcast Network, running for nearly 8 years now, believe it or not, clocking up hundreds of episodes, both podcasts and live streams. So you can find us across all major podcatchers, type40.podbean.com. That's the home feed, or on YouTube and Rumble with special live streams as well, where anything can happen, anything can be said, and often is. So Doctor Who fans, go there for all of that. There's my own channel too, the Spacebook, where I talk about all manner of things, whatever is on my mind at any given time, including Highlander recently the other day. So I'll be dropping out little videos here and there, anywhere between 10 and 20 minutes. I won't be going mad, but just be enough to get it out there, I suppose, to get my enthusiasm for this franchise out there. Because I think that it does sort of fall on us to some degree. I really do. So I just talk about whatever is on my mind at any given day, and hopefully it'll connect with somebody. So come and find me across social media as the Spacebook on X and Instagram and YouTube too.
Awesome. Thanks, buddy. John, thank you so much for coming on. Where can people reach out to you, and what are you working on?
I'm on social media. It's mainly Facebook at the moment. I'm revamping some of the sites and stuff that I'm connected with, Echo Chamber at the moment, but I'm working with Highlander worldwide, so we'll be keeping people up to date with developments and stuff. I have a novel that's still in my drawer at the moment, so that won't be available in 2027, but I'm working on that, and a couple of other reference books, one on John Hurt, which I hope might get out by the end of the year. Hopefully. The rest of the time, I'm just kind of keeping my head down and plowing through, reviewing so much good stuff on TVs, a reasonable amount of stuff at the movie theaters now. So yeah, to just keep my head down and plowing through, trying to not watch the news, but just going off and watching some fantasy makes me feel so much better now.
Well, stay tuned to Blood of Kings, because we're not done with John. Next month, we're going to be releasing John's article from Starlog 1994 talking about Highlander 3. We're going to take you back in time when we were supposedly getting the actual sequel to the original Highlander. We'll discuss that later. So, Lee, thank you so much, buddy. What's happening with your Fight Monkeys? What's going on there?
Got some project coming up in the next couple of weeks. I'm in the middle of rehearsing for a big 3-on-12 fight. Whole bunch of swords and daggers and spears. A lot of fun. Actually, a lot of women in this fight. So that's always fun when I get to step outside the usual box. I've got hopefully Orion 21 releasing this summer. We're still trying to find a date, but got a few others coming up. Always churning and burning. I've got my novel sitting there. Recently got the rights back, so trying to get it out to a different publisher. Hopefully one that'll actually start printing. And yeah, other than that, just sitting here waiting for the next podcast where we can talk about our review of this new movie.
Can't wait. Guys, thank you, everyone. This has been great. Thank you, everyone, for watching, too. And if you're listening, please check out the video as well. Subscribe to the Fandom Podcast Network and check out our Blood of Kings Facebook group as well. We also have a sister page, too, for the Highlander collectible card game community. It's blown up. It's been great. So anyway, thank you. Oh, and yeah, don't forget to check out that book there. What are you holding up there? What's that one? The Fearful Symmetry. Yeah, let's all hold up our copies. There you go. The Essential Guide to All Things Highlander. Thank you, everyone. Thank you for listening. And again, my co-hosts Lee, John Mosby, Dan Hadley, and Grant Kepser. You guys rock. My name is Kevin. On behalf of Lee and our special guest, thanks everyone for listening, and join us again next time here on the Fandom Podcast Network for another episode of Blood of Kings. That sensation you are feeling is the quickening. We are one. We are brothers.
Farewell, dear shitheads.
Goodbye, everyone. We'll see you next time.
Cheers.